Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Living in Two Worlds right here on Star Nation's radio, live stream shows at Facebook. And tonight is Thursday night, September 26th. And this is the night, the last Thursday of every month, is where we have this show, Living in Two Worlds, with my co-hosts, Ortrun and Carl Franklin. And I'll bring them on in just a second. One of the things I am going to be doing and asking you to join me in doing, and that is if you have a friend or maybe somebody in your family that you think that they would enjoy this conversation and the information that we're going to be talking about tonight, you might want to send it over to them, because this is part 2 of Beyond the Consciousness Shift. We had so much information last month that we decided we were going to do part 2. And so if you were with us last month, you know what kind of information came out of that show. So if we're going to give you just a moment here to be able to send it over to a friend or a family member if you'd like them to have the information, okay? And I'm going to do the same thing. But before I do that, I'm going to bring Carl and Ortrun on, and they can join us here. Hello, you two.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Neshi.
Hi. Hi, we need to fix the frame just a little bit. I just noticed this. If you guys could come a little bit closer together to get you both in the frame. There we go.
Are we both on?
Pretty much. Let me check. Just gonna check on my phone. Make sure that we're looking good. And you got to get really, really cozy. There you go. I think that's the best we can do. There we go. Just like that would be good.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to turn this over to the two of you. So if you can refresh our audience's minds about what we covered or what we talked a little bit about last month, and where we would like to take this conversation tonight.
Okay. Do you want to start, Carl?
Sure.
Okay.
We are far more spiritual beings than we are physical. But because our conscious mind is inundated with information coming in from our 5 senses, and our 5 senses are tuned in only, or let me say primarily, to the physical world, we tend to see ourselves as a physical being. We tend to see ourselves as our physical body, when in fact our mind is not physical, our emotions are not physical, our soul is not physical. And when this physical body dies, the mind, emotions, and soul are still very much intact and alive. So they are the eternal aspects of us, and they are the parts of us that make us a person, a human. That they make us the person, the being that we are. And because they're not physical, they need a physical body through which to experience and express, because we're in a physical world. So please do not see yourself as your body. See your body as a temporary house, a temporary vessel or vehicle through which your soul, your mind, and your emotions can experience and express. And if you are at the point in your consciousness that you recognize that your soul is a microcosm of the universal creator, then turning your physical vehicle, your mind and your emotions over to your soul allows the universal creator to not only experience, but to powerfully, beautifully, lovingly express through your physical, mental, and emotional and soul bodies.
Okay. The other thing that we touched on last month was ways of starting to move that direction. Because we live in this busy world, and many of us, our mind is just, not mind, but our brain is going 50 miles an hour. We've got so many things that are coming into us all the time. is that the need of slowing down that part of us, because that is actually the way that you start moving into that space of being able to connect to the consciousness that Carl was speaking about. We have our conscious mind, which of course we participate and use every single day, and as we're using right now. Then we have the subconscious mind, which drops down a little bit as far as the the frequencies per minute or second, so that it drops down some into a deeper level. It's at that space that takes us into that state of sleep, but it's the in between state. That space is where you meditate. That's the space that allows you to connect both the conscious and the subconscious part of your mind. So if we can get to that part, if we can connect those two, that will allow whatever it is that we are focusing on, whether we are doing that in the awake state, because you can actually do meditate in the awake state. You can do open eye meditations. You can get the messages more completely into your subconscious mind. But then there's another part of the mind that's called the superconscious mind. And that's the part that really connects you with the highest aspects. That's what moves you into that soul aspect of yourself. But it's important that you become familiar with your brain and what its function is, and that there are those different aspects so that you can start, first of all, removing some of that activity of your brain and slowing it down so that you can then move into that subconscious space of awareness and then connect even further.
Yes. And the question that we wanted to deal with tonight are the mechanical things. What can you do to connect with your soul? What can you do to get into the meditative state? What can you do to begin to be aware of your superconscious and to live out of it? So this is a kind of a how-to evening. And we would welcome your questions and your comments. So please, this is not designed to be specifically a lecture, but it'll be a lot more meaningful everyone if it turns into a discussion. So do not hesitate to participate, all right? And Neshi, you can tell them how they can participate.
Yep, I just did. I just typed it in a comment into the chat to let them know that they can put their questions and also their comments so that we can have a conversation about this consciousness shift. And so we'll wait for them. I'll let you know when we have something in the chat. Okay.
Okay. Also, I think we probably covered this the last time also, but for people that Carl and I work with, we always recommend that you, at least if you don't have time to get into that space of what we consider meditation or lowering that level, that level of vibratory frequencies. Carl, you can explain that part better than I can. The frequencies of the beta state and the alpha state.
Yeah, right now in our normal awake state, our brain is functioning at about 22 brain waves per second. And at that rate, the subconscious is just overwhelmed. And as we go through the process of falling asleep, we have to relax our body and we have to slow our mind down. And when we reach 13 brain waves per second, the subconscious begins to surface. And between 8 and 13 brain waves per second, we're working out of the conscious and subconscious together. And that is the state called the alpha state, and it is a state in which you need to be to effectively meditate. And when you hit 7 brain waves per second, the conscious mind clicks off. It is asleep, but the conscious mind is on 24/7. It never turns off. It's just that when the conscious mind is so busy with processing all of the information coming in through our 5 senses, that it just gets overwhelmed. And so we are unaware of it, but it is still there and still very active. So I think Ortrun's going to talk about using that state
Right.
Okay, the alpha
Right.
state
Well, the
as you're
alpha
falling
state
asleep.
as you're falling asleep or as you're waking up. This is what we always recommend. If there's no other time that you can do that, do it as you're falling asleep and as you're waking up, because you're in that space where you're just in between. You're feeling um, very relaxed in that state. So you don't want to wake up, or you're just falling and drifting asleep, but you're not quite asleep yet. So that's the meditative state. That's the space where, as I mentioned, the messages go very quickly, 100, 200, 300 times stronger than if you were connecting in the beta state. So that's where you want to get. If you want to do this more often, that's fine. It's beautiful. If you want to sit in meditation for a half hour, an hour, or actually sit out in the garden among your flowers, or in the fall time, sit in the woods with the trees and the leaves falling. Those are all places that will help you to get into that level. It brings you into that relaxed state. That's the best time to give messages of what it is that you want to create. Now, there are other ways of getting into the meditative state, and some of those, and they're very important, they're taught in the mystery schools, is that breath is very important, slowing down your breath. So, and by rhythmically breathing back and forth, you can start allowing yourself to relax, to become more at peace. Also, well, even before you do that, if you want to sit and meditate, if you have a space, build yourself an altar, something that is meaningful to you, something that draws you into a certain degree. It can be a candle. Candles are always good to have when you want to meditate, because that is something that relaxes you with it's flickering. That helps to relax your mind. The articles that you have on your altar, for instance, taking one of your beautiful crystals and holding it in your hand, and then starting to take those breaths, slow, deep breaths. And when I'm talking about deep breaths, I'm meaning to bring that breath not only into your chest area, but to bring it all the way down into your abdominal area. Because when you're doing that and doing it slowly, you're beginning to allow the chakras, the chakra centers within your system, to start opening, because what you are bringing that breath in slowly, and that breath touches the chakras. That energy flows through the chakras, and it starts giving the message to each one of these chakras that, okay, I'm ready to listen, I'm ready to slow down, I'm ready to move into this space of quietness where I can connect not only with my subconscious mind, but also with the mind of creator, of divine creation. And also that you can start connecting with the energies of the earth, so that you can do that visualization as you're doing the breathing, that deeper breathing. Bring it into the abdominal area. And when you take that breath, breathe in light, divine, radiant light and love, so that it can come through your crown chakra, and then it flows gently and easily, washing over all of your chakras, the third eye area and the throat and your heart area, high heart and heart area, your your solar plexus area, the area of emotion, and the abdominal area, the area of relationship, and the grounding energies of the base chakra, and that energy flowing down through your chakras that are located in your legs, and then goes down in through, well, from your feet down into the earth. So you're starting to breathe and bring that energy of the heavens down into you and through you, and connecting it with the center of our planet, our Mother Gaia. Everything is sacred, and especially our Divine Mother Gaia. She is so beautiful. So she also wants to share with you, as your guides and masters and your teachers want to connect with you from the higher realms. Mother Gaia and those that are of the earth also want to connect. By doing that, you're starting to have them recognize, oh, they want to communicate with us. So that makes it easier for like the elementals, the devas, for all of them to start connecting with you because you're showing them you're open and you are ready. You got something to add to that?
Yeah. Have you got anything, Neshi, here?
Yeah, actually, I do. I had a question about the meditation because I think there's a lot of people who believe or think that they can only meditate with in lotus position or with their eyes shut. And sometimes I think that we can get into that in between state if we've done it long enough that we can actually have our eyes open and can notice things that are around us, but we're still in that meditative state. Do you believe that can be true?
Yes, often, particularly if I'm asked a question and I don't know the answer, or I'm asked for some help and I don't know what to say, I'll simply close my eyes. And I may be sitting, I may be standing, position is irrelevant here. And I'll simply tune in. I'll tune into the higher aspects of myself. I'll tune into my soul. I'll tune into my spirit family, whoever happens to be appropriate here, and simply pass that question on to them. And they start talking to me. And I'm simply, my physical voice simply becomes their vehicle through which they express themselves. Mm-hmm. And the wisdom that comes out and the love that comes out is just beyond anything that I feel that I, as a man, could offer. Mm-hmm. So yes, it can be an instantaneous thing. Mm-hmm. And I think the further we go on this path, the more often that is apt to occur. And the more helpful it allows us to be in assisting others.
Yeah, and I do agree. Because I think that when you're in the practice, right, of that meditative state, when you do it for a certain period of time, and everybody is different with this, is that you become familiar with that feeling.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? You become familiar with the feeling. And so when you get to that point, you can actually do this anytime, anywhere, is to be able to connect with your spiritual family, with your higher self, because you recognize that state of meditation.
Okay, Neshi, I want to qualify that. I absolutely agree with everything you said there, but we also have to know, have a knowingness. We're never alone.
Yes.
We are surrounded by the spirit realm. Mm-hmm. And that is living in two worlds, all right? Yes. And it is to recognize that they're there, and they get more pleasure, so far as I know, from helping us than anything else that they do. Mm-hmm. And so for us to ask them to help us it's not a burden to them. No. It's pleasure. You know how you help when somebody asks you a question or someone wants help and you're able to help them in a significant way. There's a lot of joy there, a lot of satisfaction, mm-hmm. and a lot of love. Mm-hmm. Well, they react, I think, in a similar way.
Yeah.
So know that they're there, know that they're wide open, they love you to communicate with them. They really enjoy your acknowledging their presence, mm-hmm. and allowing them then to express their thoughts, their words, their emotions through your physical, mental, and emotional body.
Yeah, yeah. So we have a couple comments here. Okay. The first one coming from Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Lisa says, if your heart is open, does it make it easier to meditate? Is that why a lot of people struggle with it?
Yes. Now, I want to qualify heart here. There's our physical heart, and I'm going to say there's the emotional part of us is referred to as heart, and there is our high heart, and I'm going to define the high heart as being the heart of that Christed aspect within us.
Mhm.
All right. And there's also a high mind, which I would describe as the mind of Christ within us. And to work in a meditative state, it's far more effective to work with the high Christed heart and mind, and to work not just out of heart, but to work out of what I call our heart mind. It's one,
Mhm.
not separate, but draw them together.
Mhm.
So
I think that when you're moving into and connecting with that high heart and that divine mind, I think that's really when you're moving into that um, the higher conscious,
yes,
the higher consciousness. That's when you're moving out of that subconscious into the divine consciousness. So that, but I believe for those, even though they may have a very open heart, if they're beginners, they don't trust themselves enough. So
Mhm.
it when they're beginners, if they, for instance, it's that going beyond the five senses. They first have to recognize that they have that ability to even go beyond those five senses so that they can actually tune in. And that's what these outer practices are about. Now, most people, I believe, especially ones that have that desire to go into meditation, they probably are connecting already and they don't realize it. So, because we can, anytime we're quiet, we can get a message. You know, early on in meditation, oh, I'd be in a quiet space, and all of a sudden, something would pop into my mind, and oh, well, that was something I asked about. I don't know how long ago. So it's starting to also um, trust your intuition, recognizing that that intuition that you have, that's part of the connection. You know, we don't think about those little things as being the connection. We think that to be in the meditative state, we have to be able to have these big visuals, all kinds of things of that nature. And I have to say, that's not my way of connecting. My way of connecting is very, because I'm an empath, is that feeling level.
Mhm.
It's that how I feel, you know. So that's a way of also connecting, you know, to the meditative state, is to see how it is your body is responding. For instance, our grandson, he says that when he gets a feeling, when there's a shift of where it seems like something negative is, or he's walking into a group that's negative, he can feel like his heart is dropping down into his stomach.
Mm.
So that's intuition. Those are signs that he has that ability already, but he needs to, you know, develop it a little bit more. So if we start recognizing that we have abilities, or for instance, looking out onto the lines of the trees, above the lines of the trees, and starting to see their aura.
Yeah.
You know, this is something that, oh, wow, look at that. Look how that stands out. And know that this is more than the normal eye can see. So often we have experienced things of the sort, and we think everybody experiences, but they don't.
well, I think not only that, but I still have to wrestle with this on occasion. Um, is it my imagination?
Yeah. Right. Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And to be discerning in terms of
Mhm.
now, I recognize that most of the time it's not my imagination. It's my spirit family or higher aspects of myself talking to me,
Mhm.
and which means, hey, Carl, listen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And right in the communication where, you know, connecting with loved ones, for instance, when they say cardinals are a sign of you being visited from
Mhm.
someone that had passed away.
Mhm.
Yes, trust that. Know it. If you see those cardinals, they came to send you a message.
Right.
Dragonflies, the same thing. They come to visit you. It can represent your loved one that has just, you know, had
Mhm.
completed a transition.
Right.
So all those little things, and if you see colors in something, and all of a sudden some colors pop out at you from somewhere, that is all tuning in. That's all connecting. That's
Right.
all coming from that subconscious mind and even deeper.
So,
So what I found for myself is I had to start trusting that when those things occurred for me, and feelings that I had, or anything visual that I saw, like those auras, or even if you're at a play, uh, the one time we were at the Sound of Music, and the nuns were there and they were singing. Their, I think it was "Climb Every Mountain,"
mhm.
and that's a powerful song. And when they're finished singing it, the curtain dropped, and the reflection of them stayed there.
Hmm.
You're seeing their outline, you're seeing their aura. Those are all things that help you to recognize that you're tuning in.
Right.
Because
So,
I pointed out,
yeah.
I happened to point that out to Carl. I said, "Did you notice that?" And he didn't notice it until I pointed it out.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah. So good question, Lisa. Good question. Look,
Thank you,
look where
Lisa.
it led us. And you know, there's one more layer to that. Other, and we also have another person who has made a comment, but it's something that Carl said, and that was the Christed mind,
Mhm.
right? And the heart mind. Now, I know in your book you talk about that. I think there's a whole chapter on it, but that may be something that many of our viewers haven't really heard a term about the Christed mind, and that we're not disowning or pushing our mind, our conscious mind, and throwing it away. No, we are actually taking it to another
Yes.
vibration, another frequency,
Right.
so that we can work in a unified field,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So let's see. Jane is next.
Hi, Jane.
Jane says, interesting question, Yvette and Neshi Lokotz. I would respond in a similar, but also differently. I can be in a meditated state with, I think, wait, hang on. Got to bring the next one up. With my eyes open. Plus, I believe in co-creation with the divine guides, etc. Not in a subservient manner.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You're working hand in hand.
Right.
You see, they do not have a physical body, therefore they're very limited in terms of what they can do in the physical world.
Right.
We have the physical body that they need to express themselves through. So for them to communicate with us and gives them the potential of impacting in a positive way the physical world and the people in it, which gives them, again, that could be a part of their life service, their life purpose. But they can't do it alone. So it works best and perhaps predominantly if we're in partnership with them, an equal partnership.
Right.
Right.
And that's where that term co-creation comes in, I think, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And so Jane goes on to say that she can enter the state quickly and while being active in the world, not just in a quiet room with my eyes closed, etc. Yes.
Right.
See, one of the things that I enjoy and I recommend to people because it's fun is you're going into a big box store, all right, a Walmart or something like that, or Costco's or Sam's or whatever, go to the supermarket, and just get yourself into your Christed state prior to getting out of your car. And hold that as you go through the store and make eye contact with as many people as you can. And the response is going to be heartwarming for you and very uplifting for them. And if you're sensitive of the energy, the group energy in the store when you enter it, be conscious of it when you leave. And you'll find the energy of the store has been raised significantly. And we each have that power.
Mhm.
And can you imagine going into a store where the majority of the people were doing that? Wow, baby.
Yeah.
I know that story would be glowing, wouldn't it?
Right.
Yes.
See, I believe that meditation is a way of life. So it's something that you do incorporate both in your awake state and in your
Yes.
in this meditative state,
Mhm.
because we spend so much time in that awake state. So by I mentioned, open eye meditations, for instance, and we're talking about some of these ways of doing the open eye meditation.
Mhm.
Some people, there are individuals that have a hard time keeping their eyes closed. They don't like the dark.
Right.
And there's a fear of that. So if they're able to start, focusing into a candle flame to relax, that's a good thing. Or as I mentioned, going out into the forest and sitting there and listening to the sounds and to nature, because all those things help you to relax more, into that level of higher consciousness. Now, the more that you progress in the and feeling comfortable with meditation, the deeper you can go, and the recognition and understanding that we are co-creators, as is it Jane said.
Yeah.
Right. That's so true. And that consciousness that we spoke about, conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, that conscious then becomes the higher conscious, the Christ consciousness,
Right.
divine consciousness, and so on. So it's still consciousness, but it's just you're seeing it from a different level of awareness. And in that there are many different steps too, many different dimensions within that. So that's why every time that you are trying, you are gaining and you are increasing every time you do it again. You're a little bit better and a little bit better, and you connect higher and higher and more so.
Right. And that's there is this word that we use a lot, and that is practice. We're in a practice. And that's good, especially when you're first starting out and you're getting acquainted with it. You start using it more and realizing that there is a certain level of self-discipline that's involved with it. But at some point, we go beyond practice and we're into the application and actually living it rather than practicing it. And Jane says, yes, we each experience it meditation differently.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, something for beginners, particularly, something that I think can be very, very helpful, and that's music.
Oh, definitely.
And so to set music that is calming and relaxing and inspiring at the same time, and pick out your favorite CDs and to play them as you're getting ready for meditation. And in fact, often we'll have them playing here all day. And it really sets the tone. It sets the field of energy in which we're living. And I'm not a musical person, so I don't really feel that music within me. But I'm sure that people who are musically inclined can go through the day, with that music resonating within their consciousness and even within their physical body.
Right.
And I can't help but believe that the cells and the organs in the body absolutely love it.
Right. This was just reminding me of when, there's a guided meditation that I use quite often, and I do it at the last Tuesday of every month for everybody, the Unity Breath guided meditation. And that is using imagery that you just love about Grandmother Earth and Grandfather Sky. And really the goal of that meditation is to raise your frequency to the frequency of love, right? And Indigenous people across the world, not just Native Americans, but across the world, they knew that there was a certain, they call it the key. It's the language of the heart that doesn't have any words to it, right? And that when we raise our frequency to the frequency of love, is that we're literally living our life out of our high heart in that consciousness state of balance between the mind and the heart, right? And so when we do that meditation, it's a guided meditation. Most guided meditations will lead you back to the beginning of when you entered that meditation. In this particular meditation, we leave them in their heart. And, it's just notice, there's nothing you have to do about it. Just notice how long you hold that frequency and when it starts the decline, so that you can feel the difference between when you are in the frequency and when it starts to fade.
And the frequency you're talking about, I would refer to, that is the Christ frequency.
Yes, it is.
The frequency of the Christ consciousness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you can imagine yourself living a complete day in that consciousness, wouldn't that be fantastic?
It would. I agree. In fact, Lisa is saying that she's going to try what you suggested, Carl, about going into one of the big box stores and before you go in, getting into the Christ consciousness. So she's going to try that tomorrow. So Lisa, you'll have to let us know what your experience
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
If you try it once, you're probably going to want to do it often. So
I also want to, talking about music, every one of your chakras resonates to a different key. So that when you are listening to music, every tone that's in that musical piece that you're listening to, it actually is touching and vibrating the chakra that is associated with that. So, if you're going up the chakras, it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So those are the notes. And if you're looking at a keyboard, when you're in when you put your hands down in the center of the keyboard, that would be the middle C, right? But if you raise those notes up another octave, that would be then the vibratory frequency at a higher level of consciousness. You can also bring it down. You can go down that level from the key of C on down on your piano. So then that would vibrate deeper even. Now, so know that all that is opening up and helping. As I mentioned, the same thing with the breath and opening those, allowing that energy to flow and touch all your chakras. So the musical notes also will do the same thing and help those to start vibrating and resonating and opening all of the energy centers. One of the things that's really important is that all of your energy centers start being opened. We as metaphysicians, and because of our backgrounds, most of us, especially the people I've worked with, let me just say that their chakras are open to the heart because we've been given messages that were not so positive. So what we've done is we've closed down many of our lower chakras because they had to do with relationships where we were given negative messages, emotional things. So every time that we were hurt or in pain, we start closing those chakras. And so we think that by looking up and focusing our energies to these higher chakras, unbeknownst to us what we're doing actually, or not maybe, so is that we're looking to be better people. So we're looking at feeding these higher levels, these chakras on the higher levels. So what happens oftentimes is they'll close it off right at below the heart line. And those chakras that are more grounded to the planet, they're not open. So even though you are tuning in to all kinds of beautiful things of the higher realms, it can't be stopped, grounded. And it's not grounded. So your creation, what you're trying to create, can't happen. It doesn't happen on the earth plane because you are here to create not only within yourself, but also on the earth plane. So be aware when you're doing your breath or when you're doing listening to music and your meditations, to breathe and visualize those chakras all becoming open wide, and those energies, the higher energies, flowing down into the chakras that are considered the grounding chakras, so that you can connect and start living heaven on earth.
Yeah, I want to build on that, if I might. Part of my daily meditation is, yes, I open the 7 chakras in my own body, but then I open also the chakras that extend up and connect with not only my Christ itself, but my 7th dimensional I am. And then I open the chakras that are beneath my feet. And I go all of the way down until I connect with the soul of Mother Earth. Mm-hmm. Now, Mother Earth is a living being. Mm-hmm. The earth is her body, just like we have a body, but she also has a soul. And you can go to the center of the earth or just go into the earth, but go until you connect with the soul of the earth. And that energy is coming up into your heart. The energy from above is coming down into your heart. You are grounded at the very highest levels that you can attain. You're grounded. You're grounding that energy into the earth. You're blessing the earth with your high frequency energy. The earth is sending you her very physical energy, which strengthens your physical body, and you are radiating that. Your aura just really blooms. It reaches out, I don't know, 10, 12, 100, 200 feet. And when you go through the big box store, if you do that, your aura is reaching out, and everybody that you go by is going to walk through your auric field. Okay. And so anyway, your consciousness is now reaching into the heavens, and it's reaching into the soul of the earth. And wow, it makes you such a vastly powerful, beautiful being with this wonderful, beautiful, powerful aura. So try it in your meditation and see what happens for you.
Yeah. You know, one of the things, and I was thinking about this earlier today, about how, you know, like I want to say like in the 80s, maybe even down to the 70s, definitely the 80s and 90s, the first wave of energy workers or light workers, right? You're right. We spent a lot of time working on our upper chakras.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time, a lot of effort healing and going through different methods of healing, right? And we really didn't spend a whole lot of time in our lower chakras because many times it was, quite frankly, too painful.
Right.
To it, right? And I think that this is part of that consciousness shift that we have in our title, is that now many of those same energy workers and their the next generation of them, the second wavers and third, that we are paying attention to our lower chakras. We are doing those healings of those emotional traumas, right? And so when we do those kinds of healings and we're clearing the debris away, so that when we do tune into them and do the connection work to Grandmother Earth and grounding to her, I think it's much more profound than it would have been 20 years ago or 30 years ago.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to mention is because the whole vibratory frequency on the planet is higher now, that we can actually attain higher levels of consciousness quicker if we choose to. If we put our intentions out there to do that. So I think that's really a plus for us. You know, oftentimes I talk about the mystery schools, and I believe that they're very, very, important. And Hamid Bey, who brought Coptics to the United States, and he was raised in mystery schools of Egypt. You know, he went in when he was 6 years old, and he was in there until he was 18, and then he left, and he was told that he was to take his teachings to America, to the United States, because it was considered to be the quote the New Jerusalem, really, and it was the new wave. It's the place where things would blossom and grow and become more. So he brought that here. But you see, he had to start way at the beginning. You know, he was a child, and things took longer. And the focus, I think, when you're a child is not as great as when you're an adult and really have that desire, to really, really commit. So if you have a harder time, like with slowing your mind, if you really have that intention and you do utilize the discipline, very quickly you can break through that. And the same thing with working with the chakras. When you're working with those wounded areas, if we start recognizing, hey, we are loved, we are divine, and maybe you don't believe it right away, but those wounds will be healed more quickly because, as Carl said, all these divine ones that surround us, they want to be there to help us. So if you're working with something like that, a wound or so on, ask for the appropriate one for that particular vibration that you're experiencing to come and be with you, to take you through that work, to take you through those hurts and those particular pains.
Mhm.
Because, if you're not calling the right one, because they all have their specialties, all these ones, the guides, the masters, and even the angels, they have specialties. So ask for the appropriate ones. They'll send them to you if you ask for them. But if you're just putting it out there, you could get better results by asking that the perfect ones be sent.
Right. We have a comment here that I'd like to share. It's coming from Tina. Hi, Tina. It's good to have you in the show tonight. Tina says, what is expansion and connectedness mean? Between me and my husband, who has passed, that there's no veil between us. That's what she was told.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, to me, that means that she has done enough with herself so that she can get beyond that veil very easily.
Mm-hmm.
So for others that, aren't at that level, they wouldn't be able to do that quite as easily. And also, with that occurring, they're still meant to be working together. So that whatever he's doing in the place, the space that he's occupying at this time, the soul is occupying at this time,
Mm-hmm.
that is also still to be connected with here. And the learnings that he's receiving from there and that he already has still had also come through her. They're supposed to be shared together.
Yeah, he wants to ground his energy through her.
Okay.
So, and if that happens, then there is his energy and her energy working as one, which makes her probably 4 times as powerful as if she were working alone.
Okay. So it is a soul to soul connection.
Right.
And using her physical body to ground whatever work that they're doing together to the earth plane.
Yes.
Not only to ground it, but to bring it into manifestation.
Right.
Okay.
And he needed to be there so that he could add to what it is the two of them are doing together here on the planet, the earth plane.
Yeah. I want to get wild here for a minute.
Okay.
One of the things that happens when a person enters into the tunnel of light, which is I'm going to call it the vestibule to heaven. One of the things that happens is your mental, emotional, and soul body merge and become one with that part of you that does not come into physical embodiment, but it stays on the heavenly realm, and it's called your light body. And your light body contains all of the wisdom and knowledge and experience that you've gained ever since you've had a soul.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be even predate being human, all right? So now you are truly yourself when you are one with your light body. And can you imagine how much more powerful and wisdom and knowledge he has to share because he's there? And so perhaps it's beneficial to both of them that he's there, because together they are far more powerful now than they could be when they were together only in the physical world.
Right. Right.
She's very blessed for that, to have that connection.
Yeah, she is.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tina is one of our longtime watchers of the live stream shows, right? And she also gets the magazine, and she's a real supporter of Star Nations. And so thank you, Tina, for sharing your comments with us and actually sharing with us your journey that you had with your husband's illness and his crossing over. And so now the story continues as the two of you continue to work together. Very cool.
You're very blessed, very, very blessed that you are still that connected.
Yes.
Yeah. And Jen is here too. Jen Armstrong saying hello.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Jen is from Australia.
Well, welcome.
Right.
Welcome in.
Okay, so this is the reason why we had to do part 2. because there is just so much information to share about this shift in consciousness, and also the title of our show, which is living in two worlds, because that's exactly what we're talking about here.
Right.
Yes.
And to do it in a conscious way.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right. Well, what else do we have in the kit bag that you want to pull out?
Well, just, everybody is living in two worlds.
Mm-hmm.
It's only those that are awakened that are aware of it. And that is, to me, it is so, so sad. More people are awakening every day. And if you can imagine living in what I see as the world that is becoming, in which virtually all people are awakened, they're working hand in hand with their heart, mind, with their spirit family, sensing the divine presence in everything that exists.
Mm-hmm.
It is my belief that there is a spiritual foundation underneath everything in the entire universe.
Yes.
And we happen to be on an earth that has a very, very low, dense vibration. And what we're doing here is we're helping the earth to raise her vibration, and at the same time helping other human beings and indirectly all life forms on the planet to raise their vibration. We call this the ascension.
Mm-hmm.
We happen to be here at a very important time, because the ascension process or the evolution is not a straight line, it's a staircase. And we're on the vertical part of the staircase right now. In a short period of time, change is happening so much faster. We're in the jet age, all right? Now we're going into the rocket age, whereas previously we were in the horse and buggy age. Okay?
True. That's so true.
And we're here to assist in this process.
Mm-hmm.
And the beginning of our assisting is to make these changes within ourselves, changes of being aware and working hand in hand, out of heart and mind, with our spirit, the spirit families that overlight us.
Right, right.
And I want to expand a little bit on the spirit families.
Please.
Well, you came down from the heart and mind of the Creator. And so you lived in many dimensions. You may have come from the angelic realm, because that's where you spent the majority of your time once you left the heart mind of the Creator. But then you also moved into various dimensions for you to experience, to bring your vibratory frequency down so that you could function here upon the planet. Now, just because you move through those doesn't mean that you have to leave those behind, because they are still part of you. The divine masters and guides and teachers and angels and archangels that work with you, they are really a part of you. They are as much a part of you inside of this physical body as they are out here. Their energy is with you all the time. And so what I like to see as a visual is seeing that my whole, and I'm going to say my entourage of all of these divine ones that are with me, and I see them on both sides of me. And then, we're all stretched out both directions. And if you want, just see yourselves doing the can together, but have that kind of relationship with them, because if you have that relationship with them, you're all working together. You're that team. They're your team. And know that they're with you all the time. And so that you're never alone. There's not just this physical you. There's all the physical, mental, emotional, and the spiritual is unending. So if you go into that big box store like Carl mentioned, recognize that you're that extension of all those beings that are working with you. And, and can you imagine? I mean, you won't be able to see where your aura stretches out to in every direction. So that's really who you are. That's who each one of us is.
Well, and to also recognize that every person in that store is like that too. Only they're just not aware of it. Mm-hmm. And by you sharing, yourself on your multidimensional way, you're going to help them to awaken to who it is they truly are. That they're way more than just this physical body.
And really, and all you're doing is you're walking through the store, making eye contact with them and smiling,
Right.
Exactly.
right?
Mhm.
You shifted the energy in there just by being there.
Right.
Well, if he's cute, you might want to wink too.
Okay.
Right. And so here's Deanna. She's saying,
Hi,
thank you,
Deanna.
all of you. Blessings. Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you. And here's Tina. She's saying, wow, I knew, but I had to hear exactly this. Thanks a whole bunch. Love, love. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I know we all need to be reminded. There's just so many times we forget.
Mhm.
But we're all those beautiful, beautiful things. And there are just things out there that probably the majority of us have studied, but we forget about it. But every once in a while, we just need to tap in again, just as that reminder
Mhm.
to go forward. Because we all still have challenges. We're still human. So we still also have human things that happen. But the other thing that happens for us then by having done this work and having focused in is that we are more easily able to get beyond that, because now we trust the system. We trust that the way that it can occur and the way that we do have that assistance with us and around us.
Right. Right. You know, on the Native American medicine wheel that I've studied and I live by,
Mhm.
the east-west connection,
Mhm.
we call it the road. Some will call it the black road or the blue road.
Mhm.
That is where we live our physical life
Mhm.
as two-leggeds.
Mhm.
And that's where we gain all of our experience. We live out our life lessons on that road, right? And the east is all about our mind, our mental mind,
Yes. Mhm.
and the west is all about our emotions and our heart.
Mhm.
And in that walk from the east to the west, we're learning about mastering our mental mind and our emotions, so that we remember what it's like to be in that unified field,
Mhm.
right? And so, in all those life lessons, just because you're awake and you understand the process doesn't mean that you're not going to be going through life lessons. That's how we gain our wisdom.
No such thing as life without lessons, which means challenges and
Yeah.
opportunities. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's also our gift to not only the planet but also to the divine.
And
Because
ourselves.
yes, because ourself, the planet, the divine, because whatever it is that we experience and learn and grow from,
Uh-huh.
that means that we've mastered that vibratory frequency. And that energy vibration gets placed in the akasha, not only our akasha, but it gets placed in the akasha of the planet.
Yes.
And then the akasha, of course, of the planet becomes part of the akasha of really the different, the universe, Milky Way, the universe, super universe, until it goes all the way into the heart and mind of the divine creator. But then what that does is that when someone else comes along that needs to tap into that vibratory frequency or learn about it, we've left an image of how that can be done
Mhm.
in the akasha of the planet, so they can tap into that and then be able to go through whatever that process is for them a little bit more easily.
Right.
Instead of
And see,
yeah.
isn't that what the ancients did for us?
Yes,
Yes.
they did. Mhm.
Right.
Mhm. Right.
And so we're remembering, tapping into it, remembering those pieces of wisdom, so that we can apply it to what we're going through right now in the
Yes.
modern world.
Mhm.
And then we're leaving it for the next generations, adding to it from our experiences, right?
Mhm. Right.
Here, Lisa has something she'd like to say. She says, I love it when I get pure love message or learning, makes my body tingly.
Isn't that a great verification for you and for me?
Look who else is here. Connie's here. Hi, Connie.
Connie?
Hi, Connie.
Connie says, thank you so much for all that you do for humanity.
Thank
Isn't
you.
that sweet?
Also to everyone that is part of this program. Truly, you're all doing so much and assisting in so many different ways.
Yes.
And we are at the top of the hour. So if you'd like to do your last words for our audience, because we didn't exactly welcome them in that way, did we? We didn't say thank you for being here. So,
Oh, well, thank you for being here.
and contributing to the conversation.
Right, exactly. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think that we went a little bit deeper this time than the last time. So I think that's really, really good. So
Mhm.
the main thing is for you and for me, all of us, to remember who it is that we truly are. That we are that divine aspect of Creator. Creator, Mother, Father, God, both the masculine and feminine energies of the divine. And keeping that thought and vibration in our heart, because that will make our journey so much easier and better for us.
Mhm.
Yes, you are an eternal divine aspect of the Creator, allowing the Creator to express and experience through your physical, mental, and emotional vehicle. It all goes to the Creator via your soul, who is a microcosm of the Creator. And we are not only an earth being, we are a being of the universe.
Mhm.
And to keep that in mind, particularly in times when you are down or you feel powerless, that is simply an illusion. You are very powerful, very much loved divine being.
Mhm. Yeah. Truly loved.
Yeah.
Truly loved, unconditionally loved, and that we're here for a specific purpose in this time, in this place. And no matter where you're at, you're exactly where you're meant to be in this moment. And so, yes.
I would like to say we're here for divine purposes.
Hmm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, and really for me, it is an act of remembering. So every time that we get closer to our original vibration that we came in with, we're remembering more and more about what we are as spiritual beings.
Yes.
Right?
And who we were in the past, too.
Yes, exactly. So
we expanded.
Yes, very much so expanded. So thank you all for being with us tonight, those in the chat, and thank you so much for adding to the conversation. We learned so much more from each other.
Yes. Mhm.
Well, we bless you all. We love you all, and make it an enjoyable time.
Yes, and we'll see you back here for Living in Two Worlds next month in October, the last Thursday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you then. Good night, everybody.
Good night.